It's Tuesday, y'all. Daily Chronicles. What's up, my tokers, jokers, and smokers? It's your boy, Chef Rodney 117 here with another edition of the Deliciously Dope's Daily Chronicles. Today, y'all, I don't even know, honestly, where to begin. He's a Michigan NORML board member. He's been all over the map with absolutely everything. I mean, it's you're not going to have a more realistic opinion about anything cannabis or anything really just life related in Michigan, aside from anything that Mr. Brook can say today. Mr. Adam L. Brook, Mr. Hashbash himself, he is one of the, statewide and not even that, nationally, worldwide renowned, MCs of Hashbash. I can't explain another human being that lives up to a moniker like that, to be able to encompass really everything and speak for people that spread misinformation and things like that, and don't take a second to look at the road less traveled. He's like, well, hang on a minute, there's not a better person out there that I would rather sit across from right now than anybody else. So without any other further ado, y'all, I give you Mr. Adam L. Brook. Adam, how you doing this morning, buddy?
Hey, Chef Rodney, how you doing today? Hope you're doing well.
I'm doing great. I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. I appreciate you coming on the show, man.
Hey, no problem. I was told I could smoke during the show, right?
Oh, 100%. I'd take offense if you didn't smoke. I'm going to roll up as well.
I don't care if you say I can't.
I would never say that, sir. That's something I would never say. I mean, that's something I'm going to always ask. But like, can I smoke? Good. It's not even going to let him get a chance to answer. But no, man, tell us a little bit about what's in the, a day in the life of Adam Brook.
Oh, well, this is the modern era where you have the industry has arrived. I'm an old school activist, so I've been around since long before the industry was ever a concept. I mean, we thought we knew what we wanted. Of course, the legislature gets involved, and all of a sudden what you vote for and what you ask for isn't what you wanted and what you expected. But for me, this is a whole process of moving the ball forward. This is one of those things where, there are people alive today in California who voted to legalize adult use, recreational use, who were never alive a day where weed wasn't legal for them as medicine.
Right.
They were 18, 19, 20 years old. Weed had been legal for 20 years in Cali. They cast a vote. They thought they were doing something great. They have no concept as to the greatness of what they did. Nowadays everyone has access to the internet. People don't use it. People think that they understand who, what, where, when, why, and how, and they very rarely get the date right. As an old school activist promoting Hash Bash, one of the things I tried to get people to understand is that we promote date, time, and place.
Right.
That's it. First Saturday, high noon, Diag, U of M. What more do you need to know?
You don't need it more. If you don't know, now you know. You know.
If I have in 2000, I had Tommy Chong showing up. Right, I knew he was going to be there.
Yeah.
I didn't tell anybody he was coming.
No.
It's not about who's there. It's not about who plays if there's a band. None of that's important. It's about showing up on the diag for the protest.
Exactly.
And that's what it's about. So for me, this whole modern industry, and I was telling you before, and I've told other people, I'm a wait and see kind of guy at this point, because what was available to us yesterday and the rules that were available to us yesterday have since been changed. It's no longer that. It's now this. You know, there are people, as an example, real quick in Michigan, there are people who decided that they were going to get into this industry and they were going to jump when they jumped because they knew that they had to hold their medicinal license for 2 years before they could apply for their adult use license. And then the state changed the rules. And now you can apply for your adult use license in March as opposed to December. So it changed the game. I have good friends that have pulled out of the Canadian industry because halfway through a crop, and I'm talking a crop of like 50,000 plants, halfway through a crop, the rules change.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, listen, for a long time, I was getting calls. Hey, man, what do you think about this CBD taking over?
Right.
What do you mean, what do I think about the CBD? That's like when the first Jewish guy sold his house to the black couple. And somebody said, hey, what do you think about them moving in the neighborhood?
Right. I can see that.
Hey, it's great, man. Every change is great, right? Knowledge is power.
For sure.
Did I know that CBD was going to be a bamboozle? Of course I did. But the cream will rise to the top and the garbage will go to the bottom. It will take a while for people to understand what they're looking for in a true CBD type product. But we still have to get over the concept and the misinformation of people not understanding that there's something called the ensemble effect. They used to refer to it as the entourage effect because they didn't know what they were talking about.
They didn't know any better.
Now, I have an entourage. I walk into a room and my entourage follows behind me. They used to think THC was the leader and everything else was part of the entourage. Well, that's a lot different than when I'm hanging out with the ensemble. And the ensemble is everybody in the crew walks in together, different times, different places, different. It doesn't matter because we all have different parts, you know.
Correct.
And some of us may have a big part and some of us may have a small part, but we all play a part. So now you have people who are having to be re-educated because they thought they knew one thing. And here's the best part. The psychosomatic part associated with weed, cannabis, marijuana, the thing that when you use it, you think it made you feel better, that did wonders for the CBD movement. Because you had people who were using bogus CBD made from Chinese hemp, and you know, the realities is that they needed full spectrum cannabinoids to get the full healing process. Now, it's only going to take time to let them know that. But once they've entered into the world of CBD, we know they're willing to listen. And that, to me, was a game changer. That's what's important.
So how do you feel about, like, professional rappers and, like, Martha Stewart and like, Seth Rogen all getting in their own weed strains and, like, companies and stuff? How do you feel about that?
Oh, it's kind of silly. I mean,
I agree. I love those people, but I agree.
It depends who's in it and for what reason. I mean, Seth Rogen, someone came to him and said, hey, man, I can put your name on a product. That's a lot different than somebody coming and saying, hey, I have a product. I'd like you to help me get it out there.
So allegedly with Seth Rogen, sorry.
Well, no, but I was going to say, unfortunately, there's guys like Jim Belushi who figured out, no, you want to look like you're the guy producing the stuff so that at least you have some credibility. However, then he decided to do a TV show, which in my opinion cost him any credibility he had, because it showed us the whole truth.
Correct.
Now, you know, there's all kinds of people in this game. There's rappers who have done nothing but rap about it, never grown a plant in their life, who have the biggest brands in the industry. That's what marketing and branding is all about. The question is there a high quality product in that bag? And
there's only one way to find out.
Well, the problem is there's like a dirty secret nobody wants to talk about. Okay, ready? Budweiser never wanted to be the best beer. Budweiser wanted to be the king of beers. Budweiser is the king of beers. Budweiser sells more beer than anybody. Now, do they sell good beer under the Budweiser name? No. Under their label? Well, sure. Because they got into the craft brewing. So now they own some smaller batch stuff. So they certainly understand the game, but they knew one thing. They knew that the masses would buy their Budweiser piss beer or whatever it is. I don't drink beer. I just know that it's Budweiser and it ain't the best. But they don't care. That's not their concern. And the weed game is no different when it comes to the dispensary market and the regulated market, because they're selling to the masses. Remember, there are many, many, many people who walk into a dispensary that if they couldn't walk in there to buy weed, they wouldn't know where to get it.
Correct.
Because when they see a guy like you walking down the street, they don't say, hey, man, where can I get some weed?
No. They're kind of like, stay away from that stoner, or stay away from that undesirable.
They don't listen.
But that's
wherever I've traveled, I've found weed, because all you got to do is start asking people.
Exactly. And it's I knew that years ago. You know what I mean? Just, hey, you smoke weed? All right, cool. Where can I get some? You know?
Right. So but people are like, hey, where can I get my medicine? Well, you know, this dispensary just got shut down. Where can I get my medicine now?
Right.
I'm like, well, where'd you used to get it before the dispensary was open?
Exactly.
Now, I happen to be a big supporter of the black market.
Oh, yeah. I think the black market's the entire reason we're here today. You feel me?
I'm not a supporter of the licensed market.
No.
Now, I'm only not a supporter because I'm not in it.
Right.
If I was in it, I would probably support what I did. I don't know that I would support what other people did. I think there's some real problems in our state, but that's okay.
Yeah.
That's good. Anything we got is better than what we had, and it's a basis to improve.
Oh, I like that. I believe it's a step forward. You know, progress is progress no matter the speed.
Fall forward.
Correct.
You know?
Correct.
That, to me, is what it's all about. And unfortunately, a lot of people have their own ideas and their own opinions of things, and they aren't old enough or haven't been around enough to see the grand picture. They're divisive. They like to, you know, include or exclude or whatever. And, you know, I've always been a guy that, you know, and it's probably because of the event I put on, Hash Bash.
Right.
But I always wanted to know everybody's opinion. Whether I agree upon with it or not is another story. I'm not really concerned about that at all. I just want to know, you know, can we talk? Is that, you know?
Right. Can we have a conversation where we can disagree and walk away still agreeing to disagree and respecting each other?
I assume if you're wrong, it's because you don't know any better.
Fair enough. And I would accept that, you know, but at the same time, like, I'm the type of person that has to know, you know, I love learning. I never stop learning. You know what I mean?
Right. But there are people out there who read headlines and never read the article.
Correct.
Or they read the article and they never decide to go read up on it any more than that one source gave them. Or they meet someone like you or I and they hear something come out of our mouth and they run with it like it's the gospel. And it's not the gospel. It's my interpretation of the gospel.
It's a perspective.
No, but it's my interpretation of the gospel.
Yeah.
Now, in some worlds, when you interpret the gospel, they call you a prophet. Not in this world. We're not like that.
No.
It's about knowledge and about educating people and teaching. So we're happy to share the knowledge. It's unfortunate.
It's a mentorship, yeah.
Right. It's unfortunate, though, that there are many, many, many people in this scene who just don't get that. And they think because they learned something. I mean, I used to see this in the grow business. I owned a grow store at one point. Yeah. And I'd have people come in. They're like, well, here's a list of what I need to get. And I'm like, well, who gave you this list? Well, my buddy did. He said, get exactly what's on the list. I said, well, your buddy's been growing for like 10 years, hasn't he? Well, how'd you know? Well, because this is how we were doing it 10 years ago.
Right.
But your buddy has it dialed in, and he knows what he's doing. That doesn't mean it's going to work the same for you.
No.
And they get their eyes get big, and they're like, what? You mean my buddy lied to me? No. Matter of fact, you read some of these grow books. They're written by guys that live in California, wherever, and none of it applies to a guy growing in Michigan because right now your external air is 15 fucking degrees. Yep. And you're bringing in fresh air into your grow that's 15 degrees. No, you're not.
Don't do that.
And people do because they don't know any better. And then they fight to increase their heat and humidity and whatnot. So, you know, it's all about knowledge, and it's okay to be wrong. It's okay to learn. There's a lot to learn in the weed game, you know.
Oh, a lot to learn.
And I'm learning all the time. I got into an argument the other day, and I got called out for not responding. This morning, I asked the guy that I knew had the answer, hey, I was right when I said that this is not naturally occurring. And he said, yes, it naturally occurs in such low numbers that it's not measurable, really. I mean, it's nonsense. Right. And I said, all right, because I didn't respond because I wanted to be able to say that without being wrong. I hate to be wrong. It's worth being educated. And, you know, listen, I talk to people every day who think that they can open up or do something in the weed game only to find out they can't. We were talking about it earlier today. We want to like start up www.noyoucan'tdothat.com because, you know, weed isn't legal. You can't do what you want with it. It's regulated. But, I mean, you know, this is America, man. You just have to know your freedoms and exert your rights. You'll be all right.
Oh, 100%. You know, because that shows your importance in the game, man. Like if you're sitting there, you know, claiming that, I know this and I know that and I can do this, but at the end of the day, like your actions are matching what you're saying. Well,
don't forget
who the fuck's going to take you serious then? You know what I mean?
So all right, ready? Yeah. This is the weed game. The weed game is made up of a bunch of circles. Everybody had a very, very small circle for a very, very long time. Right. A few guys had big circles, but most guys had very, very small circles. And most circles didn't know what other circles were doing. Right. So for people to say, oh, yeah, I smoked this strain back in 90, and then someone say, oh, well, we were smoking that in 92. Well, yeah, it went across the country, see?
It makes sense, yeah.
You have to understand how that works. These different circles, you know. Well, hold on. Scam phone calls in the middle of shows. You got them.
Gotta love them. Gotta love them.
During my shows, I take them and I talk to these people.
Oh yeah, like how about you give me your home number? I'll call you when you get home, and we'll finish this conversation. Yeah,
that's right. So, you know, the one thing I like to tell people is this is an emerging industry. You've never seen anything like this. You've never been a part of anything like this.
Correct.
When the car was invented and all of a sudden cars were going to take to the street and people had to fear stepping off the curb into the street because a car would be coming by.
Yep.
That was not an emerging industry. Here's why. The thought process of not being able to just blindly walk into the street because a car coming, right?
Right.
That had already been established with the horse and buggy. So you already knew you couldn't step into the street. That's where the horse and buggy was. You understand? So the car, as new as the car was, it didn't necessarily change certain behaviors. This industry is brand new. We're doing things here in Michigan that they haven't even thought to do yet in other states.
Right.
And there's other states doing things and requiring things and this and that. Here's the thing I tell you, and nothing is fair or even in this game. I have a buddy that opened a dispensary. They came in to do his review. They told him, this is the state licensing board. You know, when you go in and out of a 7-Eleven, they have that strip with the
ding ding or whatever it is.
No, the tape measure that shows how tall the guy is as he's running out the door, right?
Yep.
They made my buddy put in a camera with one of those. So one of those strips that had a camera on it.
Why?
He's the only dispensary in the state that was required to do that.
Why?
Because when the inspector came in at that point, he had inspected one place, and that was it. And he said, you're going to need to do this. The guy did it. By the time he inspected the next place, you didn't have to do that anymore.
So you think they're dancing around some bullshit?
They're not. They're making it up as they go. It doesn't hurt them. Think about it. There's no wrong with if they make a rule that doesn't work, they change the rule. If you break a rule, you're in violation. You could lose your license, which is another thing. What are people getting away with because they know that they're not taking any licenses? There was a lab that got dinged a couple times before they suspended them. For good, not for good, but for a good length of time. If you're going to play the game, you got to play the game. My argument in all of this, if someone said, Adam Brook, tomorrow you're going to have one day to make any changes to the law, to right all the wrongs, what would you do? Well, first of all, I'd take it out of the legal lexicon.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Why does it need to be there? I'd take it, I'd deschedule it. I'd take all the laws that had that word in it and I'd remove it. Now what? Show me a law about tomatoes.
Yeah.
Now, there are interstate commerce things about farmers and shipping and all that crap.
Right.
But I don't necessarily know that the crop itself is the issue.
I don't think so either.
And you know, I like to think outside of the box on some of this stuff. I don't.
That's what we need more of, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I see a lot of people reading the rules and trying to figure out how to work within the rules. And I'm reading the rules, trying to figure out which rules need to be changed.
Oh, 100%. Dude, think about it. You know, I'm a chef by trade. If you don't operate a little bit in the gray area, you ain't making a lot of money. You feel me?
So ready? How old are you?
I'll be 34 this month.
All right. So before you were born.
Way before.
I grew up in the deli business. My stepfather owned a delicatessen. We were making a 4-ounce sandwich. And at the time I figured out, you could figure out exactly how to cup 4 ounces of meat in your hand. You didn't have to weigh it out.
Yep.
Now, this was long before Serve Safe existed as a concept. Not really, because there was always health department rules and regulations as to what you could and couldn't do.
Right.
But Serve Safe is an actual program, and we all, you know, if you know what it is, you know what it is.
Standards and practices. Exactly.
Right.
Yep.
So it was against the law to make a sandwich wearing a glove. Now you can't.
They require you. Yeah.
Wearing a glove. But they've also told you how to wear a glove.
Correct. Because
the deli man 30, 40, 50 years ago, if he had a glove on, he would have touched too many other things. And he would have cross-contamination would have been his problem of the day. They've done away with that because now they explain that and they educate people to that. So I like to point out to people that they may not have been alive when the dentist put his raw fingers in your mouth.
Right.
But it used to happen all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't think anything of it.
Mm-hmm.
Until he put that gloved finger in your mouth. And then you thought, this is gross. Who wants a fucking latex finger in their mouth? And then you thought, oh, yeah, me. That's who.
Yeah.
I'm good with this. Yeah.
Why weren't we doing this before? Exactly.
Nah,
like, what?
We didn't need to, and we didn't know.
Right. But, somewhere someone sued for like an infection, or the dentist got bit, or, something like that happened. Yeah.
I mean, listen, dude, don't forget, you're 34.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when I was 16 years old, the gay cancer existed. And if you were gay, you could get this cancer and it would kill you. And then we found out that, well, it wasn't a cancer. It was a virus of sorts. And maybe you don't have to be gay. Well, now we know it had nothing to do with being gay.
No.
And people are infecting people with HIV left and right. However, you can live with HIV and almost a full life with HIV.
Yeah, damn near.
So did they lie to us when we were children? Because there are people today who will not follow what Dr. Fauci has to say.
Right.
Because he came out and said, you don't have to wear a mask. Now, he said that a year ago.
Yeah.
But he knows a lot more now.
Mm-hmm.
He's educated.
Right.
He's a scientist. He keeps it being educated.
Oh, yeah.
And unfortunately, the weed game's the same thing. Mm-hmm. There are people in the weed game spending millions and millions and millions of dollars who have yet to be educated. Yep. And that's the unfortunate part. But I like to remind people that, not to worry. The black market will reign supreme.
Oh, yeah.
It has been here over 80 years with direct war declared against it for the last 40 years. And we've done nothing but improve over time. And I don't think you can say that about any other industry.
No.
And I'm one of those guys who fought to get what we're having today, but farther down the road. But I always thought that big business, Coca-Cola, Marlboro, McDonald's, CBS, Budweiser, all these people would get into the weed game, because as soon as they get into the weed game, now the masses they're completely taken care of. They won't need anything. It's going to be there. It's going to be everywhere. It's going to be normal, which will allow guys like me, who might want something a little higher quality, something a little better, something I might want a high percentage dab as compared to a low percentage dab.
Right.
There's states that are talking about THC levels. Mm-hmm. Are you out of your mind? Yeah, I would want the highest possible THC level I could get. And that's the other thing. The medicinal market is very small compared to the recreational market or adult use market. Mm-hmm. And for all the people that are in this for medicine, understand that you will be considered the homeopathic doctors of your era.
That 100%.
People are going to look at you and they're going to go, really? Who cares about that? When you're not making that big of a dent. Yeah, it may help some people, but nobody cares. Why? It's going to be first of all, it will be more mainstream, so more people will use it on their own. But once it gets to the populace for recreation, those numbers are so much bigger than the medicinal that you're going to have a third of the business for medicine. We've seen it, and it doesn't weigh out a business plan, a business model, and that's the problem. There are people that went into this as medicinal. They put doctors' offices in. They did this. They did that, and now
as a means to legitimify it, if you will. You know what I'm saying?
And I tell people all the time, medicine was our foot in the door.
Yeah.
Now
it was used as a medicine before.
Hold on. Yeah. All weed use is medicinal. I'm not going to argue that point. I agree with that. but that doesn't mean people use it that way. So the guy that smokes weed on Friday nights, he ain't using it medicinally. I mean, he might be getting some medicinal effect, but
yeah, he's
there's
just a
no
weekend
prophylactic
warrior.
effect. Right. He's a weekend warrior. Right.
Yeah.
I wouldn't listen. Well, I better not say that.
Hey, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, if he was on the down low doing something on the weekends, I wouldn't necessarily call him out. No. I'd be like, oh, hey, man, nice to meet you. Is that your wife?
Yeah.
I mean,
there you go. There you go.
You know, I'm not, I just.
That's you, though. You know?
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah.
And I don't think society cares.
No.
About cannabis use. The society that does care about cannabis use is about to die off. There's one generation left of people who really, really, really believe in the reefer madness.
Mm-hmm.
There are other people who don't know any better. And if you educated them, like there's a lot of 50-year-old people that are anti-weed.
Yeah.
But you can educate them.
Oh, yeah. It's hard.
I run into people. There are people that talk about the smoking and how smoking is bad, that there is no possible way that the smoking isn't damaging you. And I always ask them, and it's a big word, do you understand what the word prophylactic means? And, you know, some of them snicker because they think I'm talking rubbers or something. But
right.
I explain that weed seems to have a prophylactic effect. You can smoke copious amounts of weed and not have any lung damage at all. You can't smoke copious amounts of cigarettes or even minimal amounts of cigarettes and not show lung damage over time. So it has some properties that are unlike other substances. Now, the one thing that I like to let people know and tell people for sure is that weed, marijuana, cannabis, ganja, reefer, you call it muggles, you call it what you want, is different than any substance on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
It does something that no other substance on the planet does, and it does it in such a way that no other substance on the planet competes with it in this way. And that is, it brings people together. It brings people together who would not talk to each other, would not see each other, would not like each other, would not have anything to do with each other, wouldn't want anything to do with each other, don't like people like that, hate on each other. I mean, we all know the horror stories of people who have sat down and smoked a joint. Okay? We've all been at the party and said, hey, man, can you believe they're not smoking a joint, them two? Well, yeah, because, you know, it's weed, man. It brings people together. I don't have to like you to smoke a joint with you. You know? I mean, and one day I want to represent this concept that I just talked about. And I want to get like a circle of people. And I want everybody represented. And when I say everybody represented, yeah, there's going to be a guy there in a KKK robe. Yeah, there's going to be a lady there in a bikini. Yeah, there's going to be a lady in a burqa. Yeah, there's going to be there's going to be a guy with his baseball cap turned backwards. There's going to be a guy there with a rebel flag on his hat. There's going to be, everybody. I want everybody represented because in reality, they all smoke weed. And then I'd like to pass joints around that big circle. And there's, booze. Listen, I worked in a skinhead bar that had black gay guys dancing to house music on the other 3 nights a week. 3 nights a week had white Nazis dancing to punk music. And you had to make sure the wrong guy didn't show up on the wrong night because if you walked in, a fight would break out.
That's crazy.
I've seen it, man.
It's the
I've
way it
seen
is,
what
though.
alcohol does to
Yeah.
people. That's
Yeah.
society, man.
It's a poison, man.
Weed ain't like that.
No.
Food is close.
Food's very close.
But I'm going to say to you, hey, man, I want you to try some of my matzo ball soup. And you're going to be like, dude, I don't eat none of that kike food. No, people don't say that shit. But
no, they fucking better not. Yeah.
My point is, you get the concept. I mean, people be like, oh, I don't eat that stuff. Why? Because I don't eat entrails. I don't eat oxtails.
Right.
I don't eat chicken feet. I don't eat. Dude, they do. Why don't you?
Chicken feet. Oh, man, I love them. Love chicken feet. You ever had pig's feet?
Yes, I have.
Pig's feet's good. Oh, it's good, man. I'm all about, diversity in food. I learned to cook in the South.
So great.
I learned to cook in the South in my mom's restaurant in the middle of nowhere, really. And very busy, but very, rustic, very like, learn as you're doing it type of thing. Right. So I'm right there with you. I actually got some questions for you, man. We kind of changed it up a little bit since you were on last time. We kind of looked at some analytics and how do we fill that generational gap with re-educating people? And so, with all the awesome information that you've just given us that we want to pass forward, such as the ensemble effect and things of that nature, and your perspective, all of that is definitely important, but we, need to figure out a way how to relate to people. Why is this relevant from this person? Who is this person? So we've really broken it down to who, what, when, where, and why. You know what I mean? So we got a couple of questions, if you don't mind.
Oh, not at all. I would say, though, real quick.
Sure.
I believe, like, the Chinese may have this right. We might need education camps, re-education camps. We send you off. They play good tunes. They roll out some good weed. And we teach you all about weed. And we'll call them re-education camps as an homage to the Chinese. Think about it.
We need to talk more about that.
You're walking down the street one day.
Yeah.
The squad rolls up on you. They swoop you. They grab you.
Terrifying. Then you just smoke weed and learn how to be a better fucking individual.
Listen to good tunes and learn about,
So the question is, like, would you shit your pants before you get to smoke weed, though? I guess that's a good, because you don't know. You know what I mean? You're like, hey,
shit my pants before.
Well, if you're walking down the street, right? All right, and they straight like throw a hood over your head and like kidnap you, and then I'd shit my pants.
No, man. I was raised to believe that was always going to be a possibility.
Oh yeah, no,
I've been waiting for that to happen for a long time. I figured that at some point the government was just going to snatch me. Instead, they came into my house and they raided me and then left me alone. They didn't even arrest me. They like, okay, Mr. Brook, we'll be in touch.
Wow.
Fuck you. Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah.
Well, let's go back to a time before that with our first time W's, the who, what, when, where, and why. So, who was the first person that you've ever smoked with?
All right, so I have no recollection of that era.
That's fine.
I was probably 18 years old. And,
okay.
Yeah. I got great stories about people who I've smoked weed with, but I can't tell you who the first person was.
Okay. So what was the first thing you ever smoked? Do you remember that? Like a bong, like, joint?
I would have smoked a joint first.
Joint? Okay. You said, so the next, who, what, when, where, and why, when was the first time smoking a left-handed cigarette? You said it was around being 18, you said?
Yeah.
Okay. Who, what, when, where, and why? Where did you, where were you? Like, were you in your bedroom, at a party?
No. So it was like between my school and a shopping mall, there was a path.
Okay.
And I was walking from one place to the other, and there were some cats, and that's the problem. I just don't really remember who they were.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
It was there.
Okay. Who, what, when, where, and why? The first time W's. Why did you do it?
Oh, I had left school. I had walked out of school. I was done.
Okay.
So I wasn't going to get in any trouble. That was for sure.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Well, let's move on to the favorite W's. Who, what, when, where, and why. Who is your favorite person to smoke weed with?
My favorite?
Mm-hmm. We all have that one person you're just like, all right, thank you. You know what I mean?
Well, so I'm a real pervert, so I'm really into smoking with women.
There you go. That's to each their own, man.
That's like my thing, but I've smoked with some like power hitters that, you know, all right. So back many, many moons ago, long before things were legal in public, we had Tommy Chong in Ann Arbor, and he had done an appearance. He was doing a comedy show. He had done an appearance at my buddy's hemp store, Pure Productions, that was there.
Nice.
And I had driven him I picked him up in front of the store, and I drove him over to the comedy gig around the corner. And I actually smoked a joint with him in the car, and I had to convince him to do it because he was afraid we'd get busted. And I said, first of all, this is Ann Arbor. If we get busted, they won't write me the $5 ticket. I've been trying to get one for years. They won't write it to me, even though they have the opportunity to put Tommy Chong's name on one. They still wouldn't do it, and the cop would probably try to find it. This was long before cell phone. Try to find a camera to get a picture of us, and he thought that was funny. And we smoked a joint in my car, because he didn't smoke in public at that point. I mean, you know.
He had to kind of keep that persona.
Yeah,
you know,
like,
you knew, but you didn't know.
Right. I can't get caught because you can't end up in the paper. Getting busted smoking weed. So
growing up, you know, you've always heard of Tommy Chong and Cheech and them and their movies. And so you watch the movies, they smoke all the time. You see them, you know, anything else like an appearance here, they're not smoking. And then as it started becoming legal in California and Colorado, then it started appearing. And you're like, wait a minute, what else are they not? You know what I mean?
So that was the thing about knowing Tommy back in the day. I actually helped Tommy get a deal for a company called Urine Luck. And they made a urine additive. And it was Urine Luck, and then it was Tommy Chong's Urine Luck. And you would take this little vial, you'd dump it in your piss, and you would pass. Of course, they eventually figure out, you know, how you're beating it and whatnot. But yeah,
you're not studying really hard. That's not
right.
You know what I mean?
Tommy had come to Ann Arbor a couple times back, long before things were legal and big and all that, and you know, it was a different era back then. Just knowing people. I mean, I can remember. I have buddies in the music business, and you know, I smoked with some real heavy hitters, but not publicly, man. On the tour bus, not even in a dressing room where somebody could walk in and see them.
Oh man,
you know, things like that. So yeah.
Well, favorite W's: who, what, when, where, and why. What is your favorite way to consume cannabis? I know you're a dabber. I know that.
Yeah, I like to dab. I really like smoking joints.
Mm-hmm. I like it too. Yep, I love joints. Good joint.
Nah, I think smoking joints is my favorite way.
Okay.
Mind you, I haven't tried the suppositories yet, but I hear they're pretty good too.
They're up and coming. That was a terrible joke. We're gonna. That's gonna be edited out.
I have a buddy that sells the shit out of them.
Oh, I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it.
He offers free insertion with the first one. It's kind of cool.
Hopefully with a glove, right?
Hey, I don't know, man. Like I said, I haven't tried it, but I'll get him.
Why weren't you wearing a glove for the first 5? Oh yeah, I forgot or something.
Get him your contact information. He'll hit you.
All right. You know, I've had a suppository more than once in my life. You know, let's face it, there's some health issues that you go through.
If you need them, they work. My question
exactly.
Is, cannabis? All right, I might be there. I don't know yet. What I'm into? I'll show you what I'm into. Right here, buddy.
What is this? Oh, the pills?
150 milligram capsules.
Ooh. Of THC?
THC.
I've got some CBN capsules and some CBG capsules that I've made, but
here's
I
the
didn't
thing.
go full THC with it.
You can take a couple of those throughout the day.
Yep.
And after a couple days, you don't know or care what day it is.
So inside the capsule, is it RSO?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Okay. Yeah, that's what does that. Okay, so we're going to say this to all the listeners out there. We know what Rick Simpson oil is. We know how it works. We know that you need to microdose your way into it. Don't just go out and
need to microdose your way into it.
Yeah.
You need to microdose.
Oh,
I'll say it 1,000 times. Listen, I'll tell you what I did. So the doctor says, Mr. Brooke, you got cancer. No problem. I can deal with that. I go online. Hey, who's got the RSO treatment? Because we all know it's a simple treatment. Yep. You got to do 60 grams in 60 days. Yep. Here's how you do it. You start with a little rice-sized piece on your finger.
And then,
okay, blah, blah, blah. Bullshit. I'm Adam Brooke. I'm a professional. I've been doing this for a while. I've been eating RSO for a minute. What? I got a 1 gram syringe. I'll take half the gram.
Shit.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah, dude. I shit all right. Let me tell you. I stepped it up pretty quick. And it was painful. I mean, I'm not going to lie. It got me there. I'm all right with it. I can handle it. But I also experienced what those people who aren't used to doing it do. And I did it for a reason because, you really want to start out with a rice-sized piece.
Correct.
And every 3 days, double it. And just slow down. You'll be all right. Now, if you want to get fucked up, all right, get fucked up. But you can function on this stuff. You just got to be able to work your system up to where,
correct,
you can tolerate it. So,
correct.
But I love RSO.
Please do your research, people. Please do your research. Make sure that
So here's the problem with RSO. The problem with RSO was it was created by a guy who speaks English, mind you. He speaks what we would call the Queen's English as opposed to American. So he's living in a country that has different things available to him than we have. Unfortunately, the solvent that he used is available by name in this country, but it's different. And people aren't necessarily aware of things like that.
No.
So it's well worth learning about. It's well worth doing your research. And once you understand it, you'll see how simple it is.
It will save your life.
Yeah, and it will. It's amazing. So
it will save your life.
But I try not to preach about it because, first of all, people don't follow directions.
No, they don't.
So if you read about it, and if you go to phoenixtears.org, I believe is Rick Simpson's website, and you read
phoenixtears.org,
right, and you read his story, and you read what he's about, and how it came, and then you understand that none of that applies to what you're about to learn. And then you go do some research on how to create RSO here. You'll find out that, oh, right, I understand exactly what he did and why it doesn't apply here. Right. And now we've started to learn a little more, and we don't want to do certain things, and our practices have changed, and it's well worth being, once again, educated. And that's what this is all about. The nice
100%.
thing is the miseducated and the wrongly educated and the fucking stupid morons in our game don't really get hurt because for the most part, this is a benign substance. I mean, as long as you do your extractions properly and you're not smoking a cigarette while you're, while you're blasting in your tube.
Right.
How many people you see got a tube sitting next to them? Huh?
One. You're the only one. I don't want to tell you what that looks like, but it does not look like a tube.
That's why I have it, bro. That's why I have it.
All right. I like it.
But it is a tube, man.
I believe you.
It's got the hole at the top, and that's a tube for blasting.
There you go. There
But
you
yeah,
go.
you got to understand it. And once you
Yeah.
understand it, just like, not to pick on my hippie friends, because I do love hippies. I mean, I wish the girls would shave, but whatever. My hippie friends who are like, oh, no BHO for me.
Right.
Well, wait a minute. What's wrong with BHO? Oh, I don't want any butane, not in my temple. Well, if it's purged out, there's no butane, and
Gone.
there's an acceptable level of butane before it's dangerous or harmful. You know that too, right? And do you like crackers? Have you ever put Cheese Whiz on it?
Butane.
Butane. Check out the propellant in the Cheese Whiz.
Yep.
Completely safe.
Oh man. So
Now,
yeah,
processed
definitely.
Food safe? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
But the point is, weed's pretty harmless. You're not going to get hurt, and you should try to heal yourself if you need to.
And please know the difference, if I can add on to that for people that don't know. There's a difference between FECO, full extract cannabis oil, and RSO, which is Rick Simpson oil. They're two different things, but they're made a similar process. The only real difference is the solvent in which is used in each cell.
And that's why I point people to Rick, to his website, because once you start there and then you go to learn about it, you'll learn about both. And you'll
100%.
learn why you're going to go with one and not the other, and why it's easier to do one, or why you'll just learn. It's simple.
Yeah.
It's so simple.
You
gotta read.
Exactly. You got to read. That's the best thing about the internet now, and what we're doing is why is it's so important. It's because we've already read it. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've read it, right. And then we've read it, and then we've seen it on Reddit. You know what I'm saying? And it's becoming mainstream now. And so we've just got to kind of carry that message, man. Education all the way, bro. So favorite W's were, definitely your favorite way to consume cannabis, you were saying, is RSO.
Well,
or a joint.
I like to smoke a joint, but outside of that, I'm fascinated by how RSO hits you.
Fantastic. Favorite W's, who, what, when, where, and why. When do you enjoy smoking most weed? All the time?
The next opportunity. I'm debating. Do I like this joint sitting in front of me?
Yeah.
Do I like this joint? I'm debating. Do I like this joint?
You 100% sure. Like, yeah, absolutely. So, I'm not going to roll another one because it's just, it's an art for me, man. I learned how to, roll my cones and then pack them and tap them and stuff like that. It's a new thing. And honestly, like, I enjoy the freebasing before I blaze up. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what it is. Like, to me, I used to have a history of substance abuse as a chef. I loved to put fucking shit up my nose. I loved the act of, like, the freebasing, like the act of going to get it and sitting down and setting everything up like you're going to play video games, but the video games really just, on the top of your phone, cracking it up and just taking it to the dome. Right. Like, that's what it was. But now my freebasing is grinding my weed, rolling my own filters, rolling the cones. Like, there's an art to it. I used to do the 2-pile technique, roll it up. If it didn't fall out, cool, smoke it until, whatever, right? And throw it in bowls. Pop cans were a thing in my generation, we did it.
Yeah, I learned to smoke. So I was asked to smoke a joint. I was asked to roll a joint out of a bag of some killer fucking bud given to me by a superhero one day, and I didn't know how to roll a joint. And I tried, and it was embarrassing. Anyways, so at that point, I realized I have to learn how. And I asked a buddy of mine who was a hell of a joint roller, and he said, "Here's the simple technique," and he showed me the simple things you need to do. At which point, you just have to start rolling. Now, once I could roll a perfect joint every time.
Yep.
Right? That to me is a perfectly rolled joint.
Yep. I like it.
The reason I leave that little tip there,
right,
is because that enables me to light the joint and know that it will burn perfectly.
That
amount of flame will, as opposed to hitting it with a lighter, which would cause it to run or burn.
Right.
So once I was able to roll, and this right here is a cigarette. I can roll a cigarette, or I can roll a badonkadonk. And a badonkadonk looks just like this, but it's either that thick or that thick, depending on what I want.
I see.
I can roll that big thing. I can put a tip in it,
Mm-hmm.
and I like smoking. I just like smoking. I
A
don't
buddy
like
of mine gave me these paper herb. He gave me these premium papers that he makes, and it comes with the tips and the papers, and it's like a little magnet. I love these things, dude. Love them.
That's a popular case. I just a year ago I was in Vegas for a show, and I'm just getting down to smoking through all the papers I took.
Oh shit!
But I had a couple packages like that. There's one from Bowl Roll. What were they called? I had them for a while. I was using them on my show. You open it up, and the lid, when you open it, opens to a little bowl, and all magnet shut. Those things are really cool. It's a good way to get your brand out there. It's all about the quality of the paper inside for me.
Oh yeah.
I only use certain paper.
There's a billion different ways to roll joints and stuff, man. My favorite way, the one that I've been practicing on lately, is where you roll your tip, and then you make it a roll, like a round tip, and then you fold it up a little bit and stick the paper in it and roll the joint up, and then close it and then fill it.
Right.
Every single time, it's a good. You can control the curvature of that flare on that joint. You know what I mean? Because I don't twist my tips. I could. It's just every single time I go to twist it, I always tear it because my hands. I'm too rough, and so I'll just fold them together and press it with my thumb. And then, light that, like I said, kind of blow on it, make sure it burns even because you don't want it to run. And then, boom, enjoy your joint. Make sure it's dense.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I basically got to the point where, I generally don't let other people roll joints for me. I like my own joints. My hands are giving me some problems, but other than that, I like it.
Gives you something to do, man. So, who, what, when, where, and why, man? Favorite W's. Why do you smoke weed?
To get high.
There you go.
Why not?
That's direct answer. I love it, man. I love it. So now this next section is the crazy W's, kind of just crazy shit. Who, what, when, where, and why. Who was with you the first time you just got way too fucking high?
I used to go hang out at some guy's house who were the hash bash guys before I became a guy. And I was hanging out with them, and they were bringing out this killer weed. This was back in the early 90s, 91, 92 maybe. And I got way too high at their house. Way too high. And I drove back to my apartment. My wife was there, my first wife. And I got into bed. And I told her, she said, like, for a half hour, I kept saying, I'll never smoke weed again. I'll never smoke weed again. And, she wasn't a smoker, so she thought that was really funny. And
so she didn't really get it.
Reminded me of it for many times. But yeah, these guys, they had like really killer weed, Super Silver Haze, Skunk.
I've heard.
Number one. I mean, back they were just on top of it.
Hell yeah, man. Crazy W's, who, what, when, where, and why. What pushed you over the edge that night? Just the killer weed they had?
Yeah. I smoked way too much of really, really high grade weed.
I think we've all done that. Crazy W's, who, what, when, where, and why. One was this, you said it was back like 91 or so?
Probably 91 or 92.
91, 92. Crazy W's, who, what, when, where, and why. Where did this take place? You said it was at it was the predecessors of Hash Bash.
Yeah, we were in Ann Arbor.
Oh man. Last but not least, Crazy W's, who, what, when, where, and why. Why did it happen? It was just the dank shit.
Yeah. The gathering and as I think about it, there's a couple guys, and they both must have had crops come in at the same time, because we were smoking a lot of different, a couple different strains, and
hell yeah. This next section, buddy, is all about playing W's. I mean, what's life, without a couple of goals, bro? You know what I'm saying? And no matter what we do, whether it's, getting out of bed each day, cooking, smoking weed, it doesn't fucking matter. We set goals for shit and we do it without even knowing. How many times did you go to, do physical therapy or workout or whatever? And you're like, all right, so do this for 20 sets. Okay, so that's, 5 of 4, right? And we always tend to break things down. So this next part's exactly kind of doing just that by just who, what, when, where, and why with cannabis. So we called it the Plan W's. Who, what, when, where, and why? Who do you wish you could smoke with, dead or alive?
That's a good question. Like a known smoker, or just
it just whoever. You can know this person, nobody else knows them. It doesn't matter.
Oh. Well, I meant, are they a known smoker? Is it someone that actually smokes weed, or
it doesn't have to be. It can be anybody, man.
Oh, I want to
anybody.
smoke weed with Ronald Reagan.
Okay. Yeah, we got Robert saying Bob Marley, Ronald Reagan. Okay,
all right. So
that little bastard.
I happen to be a really, 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 really big Ron Reagan fan.
Okay.
Not necessarily of his politics.
Okay.
But he was Donald Trump minus the craziness before Donald Trump was Donald Trump.
I will agree with that.
He was a non-politician who was turned into a politician. Right,
yep.
right. And then his skills as an actor enabled him to do what he did, which he did things that no other president had ever done.
Yeah.
Robert Jackal, I appreciate that.
That's a good man right there.
And I hated his politics. You have to understand that. I mean, I always held some jealousy for Mark David Chapman.
So in a sense, you would smoke with these people just to kind of clear the air, if you will.
Right.
Fill it with smoke.
I wouldn't want to be someone like that.
Right.
I wouldn't want to. I always wanted to, like, John Lennon was my hero. I always wanted to do that. But when this guy kills him, my thought process changes. And I think to myself, well, what would cause, how did he influence someone so crazy that they'd want to hurt him? Now, here's a guy that influenced all kinds of crazy people. And the person that wanted to hurt him really didn't want to hurt him for him, wanted to hurt him for someone else. Like, nobody wanted to hurt the guy. The guy was the nicest guy around.
Right.
His wife might have been a bitch, but he was, and I just liked the guy. It was horrible growing up under him, let me tell you. But we were afraid the Russians were coming anyway. So what was Ronald Reagan? Any scarier than
the Russians?
The Russians, right? The Soviets. They weren't even Russians. They were Soviets.
At the time, Right.
So,
Okay. I dig it, man. Playing W's, who, what, when, where, and why. What would you smoke with them? Would it be a dab? Would a spliff? Like, how would you?
I'd smoke a joint. I'd want to smoke a joint. I'd want to
ease them into it.
I'd want to pass it back and forth.
Okay.
I'd want to swap spit.
There you go. French kiss them, if you will. You feel me?
Well, think about it, bro. Yeah. Smoking a joint's no different than swapping spit with someone.
That's what it is, man. That's what it is. I mean, there's different things you can use nowadays because, COVID's
of course,
definitely
now, I was going to say now it's COVID, so maybe. But I'll tell you, if Ronald Reagan showed up, I wouldn't be afraid of getting COVID from Ronald Reagan.
No, I wouldn't. No, that was way
crabs,
back.
But not
lobster-sized crabs. All right, playing W's, who, what, when, where, and why. When would you like this to take place? Would it take place back then, or would it take place now?
Definitely now.
Oh yeah.
I'd like to be able to say, "See, dude, they
fucking told you."
Yeah, they lied to you, and you knew
you were a crook.
Well, no. You just knew that you were part of that whole party society, and then you squared up, but you became president. Now, whatever.
Oh no. And that's the thing. Like, do you think, okay, that being said, let's take 2 seconds real quick. Do you think he would be receptive to it, or do you think it would just like completely drive him insane?
Well, he was insane when he died, remember. He was already
Okay.
dementia. So,
well, I'm talking about the Ronald Reagan, you know, the image that you have in your head. So,
right,
yeah.
the guy that I could smoke with,
Yep.
no, he would get it, because I believe that if Ronald Reagan had lived a lot longer, he would have seen, well, he was a party to it. So, all right, now, really, you want to go down this rabbit hole? So
Let's
Ronald
go.
Ronald Reagan was a CIA patsy. That's how Ronald Reagan became president, because the CIA has run this country since they killed Kennedy. And you see that his VP was the former leader of the CIA. So he was just part of that whole thing. And he may or may not have known it at the time. I believe he did, because he was an actor. I believe he was part of the game back in Hollywood. But that's just what I think. So if I disappear, you know that I was right, because they came and got me. But yeah, I truly believe that he was, and I believe that if he was here today and I could sit down with him, I could show him all that. Or show him how, if I'm wrong, why it appears to be that way.
I like that answer, man. It has depth to it. I love it. Plain W's, who, what, when, where, and why. Where would you like this to, you know, we all know a place. Where would you like this to happen?
That's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
In a coffee shop in Amsterdam.
Okay. I thought for sure you would say Ann Arbor, but...
No, I was thinking about it. I mean, yeah, it'd be really cool maybe to have them on the Diag or something, or take them up to the Henry Ford Library at U of M there, the Presidential Library. That'd be cool. Do it at the Presidential Library.
Yeah.
But I'd rather do it I'd rather do it on the terrace in front of the greenhouse in Amsterdam, and talk about all the people going by and all the potheads coming and going, so he could see what life is.
Show him the world.
Right.
I get it. I like that, man. Plain W's.
I'm going to do a split screen thing with my buddy in Amsterdam.
Oh, you should. Oh, let me know, man. I'll definitely tune into that for sure. We'll make sure that people see it. Plain W's, who, what, when, where, and why. Final question of the day, man. This has been such an amazing interview. Seriously, I've learned a lot of just like, you know, information that's going to help me pass this on. But this kind of sums it all up together, man. Plain W's, who, what, when, where, and why. Why would you smoke with Ronald Reagan?
Oh, because I think it would be gas. I think it'd be hysterical. Dude, come on.
I love it.
That guy was a master. He was a master. You know how many of them Hollywood beauties he banged back in the day?
Without even trying.
You know what I want to ask him? I want to ask him the Billy Clinton question. Because I believe, as a red-blooded, warm-blooded American man, it is my right, if I get elected president, to get a blowjob in the Oval Office. And I want to ask Ronnie, besides his wife, who gave him a blowjob in the Oval Office?
Fair enough.
Wouldn't that be an awesome question to know the answer to?
Yes, actually, yes. Because here's the thing. What people don't understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, but what people don't understand is this. People don't have a problem with Mr. Clinton getting a blowjob in the Oval Office.
The problem was he lied about it.
Correct. He lied about it, and the fact of who it was a big issue.
Wait a minute. Those people have a double standard, because they just spent 4 years listening to a lying motherfucker, and they're not going to hold him accountable.
Nope. I love it.
And you know damn well his wife didn't suck his dick in the Oval Office.
No.
She may have sucked somebody else's dick, but not his. Hey, let's go down to the Oval Office. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, you're all right. I just every time I think of that, she's probably just got this image of taking a frown from a clown or some shit. You feel me?
I just don't understand this. That this is America. I would expect the president of the United States to lie about something as embarrassing as that. Why would you tell the truth? Who and how does it help anybody? Stop being stupid.
Yeah.
If he told the truth, I might not have been a supporter.
How is that not a double standard, though?
If he lied about it, you gotta lie about it. How do you tell?
Yeah.
You know who he had to tell the truth to?
His wife.
Anybody else, he should have lied, right?
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I look at it this way. In situations such as that, I think that two people in this situation, so let's use that situation right there. In the Oval Office, there's only two people in that son of a bitch, but you know goddamn well other people know about it. Because you have to, you have to orchestrate this shit because that's, they give tours in there and da-da-da-da-da. If you're the president, you can orchestrate this shit. You understand?
He had a guy, trust me, there was a guy standing outside the door that knew she was in there with him.
Right. So I hate to say this, but it's a need-to-know basis. You understand? Your wife, when it goes public and shit like that, kind of fucking needs to know.
Here's the thing. Long before he ended up getting a first vote for president.
Right. Okay.
His wife told him, "Don't you ever let me find out about it. I can't control you, you stupid son of a bitch. But don't you end up on the front page of the fucking newspaper." And guess what happened?
Shit.
Jennifer Flowers showed up. Right? Wasn't that her name?
I think no. It was Monica Lewinsky. Yeah.
No, Jennifer Flowers was the woman that worked for him when he was in the governor, I believe.
Yeah, I don't know. I've heard about this.
That was the first case, I believe.
Oh shit!
Yeah. Lewinsky was once he became president in the White House.
Right.
So my point is this: his wife said, "Just keep your name out the paper." So when someone says, "Sir, did you sleep with her?" he's going to be like, "Her, no, I don't know her. I know you have photos of me with her, but I don't know her. Yeah, I kissed her in the receiving line, but I don't know her." Come on, dude. This is America. Yeah. He started telling that lie, and guess what people figured out? You can tell any lie you want in America now. Nobody cares. So you were lying. Big fucking deal. You didn't tell the truth. You misled somebody. Well, does that mean people should call you out? I'm a big believer in calling people out. Yeah. I got people misleading me left and right. I'm about to go crazy. But, do you really want to take yourself down with them? Nope. So
it's not worth the effort there sometimes.
Right. Sometimes you just got to hang low. You just got to not say anything. But
then again, a lot of people nowadays would agree that not saying anything is kind of,
it's tantamount to being a bad cop.
Correct.
Or a good cop. Ready?
Correct.
So the reason there are no good cops is real simple. It's real simple. And I encourage any police officer or former police officer to contact me and argue this point with me because I know I'm right. So ready? The reason there are no good cops is because if a bad cop does something, his partner, a violation of a law or a violation of a rule, his partner doesn't turn him in. His partner doesn't file a police report. I asked cops I had a cop the other day say, I never wrote a weed ticket. If I caught people with weed, I told them, hey, this is really going to cause you a hard time, not because it's bad for you,
right?
But because some other guy ain't going to do what I'm going to do.
Right.
I said, hey, man, I appreciate that. But in the meantime, you watched other cops do things and you never wrote a police report about it, right?
Yep.
And that's exactly what he said. Yep. And I said, now don't understand.
Yep.
Don't get me wrong. I understand what unionized labor is about. And that's the issue with the police work. Mm-hmm. It's militaristic unionized labor. Mm-hmm. So as a cohesive unit, we all need to stick together. 100%. Now, we don't stick together in the weed game because there are people who don't like Adam Brooke and don't like the way he delivers his message and don't like some of the off-color remarks he makes and don't like the fact that he'll sleep with your girlfriend or your wife in a minute. There are people that don't appreciate that. All right.
Right.
Fuck you if you don't appreciate me. That's me. That's my attitude. But why would you not want to work with me on a project? Come to me and say, you know what? I can't stand you, you motherfucker. But you and I need to come together so that we can make this happen. That's something I've never understood. Why and true activists, and I worked with a guy that was so racist, I wouldn't have called him. I looked at his name yesterday on my Facebook friend list because I'm desperate. I'm at 5,000 and I got to start booting people out who aren't real people. But I got a lot of dead people on my list. The problem with booting dead people out is if they come back alive, you don't know because you're no longer a friend with them on Facebook. Or if their people
I see what you did there.
If their people post something or something like that, right? So every once in a while, somebody posts something in somebody's page, and you're like, "Oh yeah, that guy, I remember him." Well, I'm afraid to get rid of the dead people. I got a lot of dead people, so now I got to go through and find like the Chinese people that, only have Chinese in their profile. The
name.
The guys from the continent of Africa that are still trying to get me to cash that check and send them the money orders and stuff like that. So,
your car's extended warranty, those people.
Yeah, those guys.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
it is what it is.
I get it, man. And here's the thing. Thank you, first and foremost, for continuing to do what you do. Thank you for what you've done, and thank you for your perspective. It's refreshing because it's not the same, mundane, political bullshit or the same. It's not the same shit. It's very depth. It's in depth, and you can see a different perspective of the world. So it definitely helps me, find my spot among, the total mess and kind of realize what I can do to help give back for that. And that's really what it is, man. It's like we each have this generational gap to kind of mentor, it's a mentorship, and pass on the knowledge, man. If we don't do that, everything that you've worked for it's mundane as shit. Flattery is the greatest sense of, or imitation is the greatest sense of flattery. It's the exact same thing in a positive perspective. Like as long as, we're agreeing on the same point, I'm going to be like, no, dude, really, it's not the entourage effect. It's the ensemble. And here's why. I'm going to be able to back up what I say. It's passing the education on. And I think that that's one of the most devout things that a person can do for a cause. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, it's, listen, I've been doing this long enough that I came up with a real simple way to separate wheat from the chaff. It's real simple. If you're watching this and you think I'm anything other than an asshole, and you haven't read The Emperor Wears No Clothes, then you don't really know anything about me or agree with me in any or understand or have any concept of what I'm talking about, because I'm shocked at how many people don't understand anything other than what tidbits they've heard, and we've been doing this a long time and they still only know the popular talking points. They don't really know the basis and they don't understand the history and how we got where we're at. And for me, it's all about education. It's all about letting people know. There's a lot of Johnny-come-latelys in this industry with a lot of really good ideas and a lot of real good power and energy behind them. But if they don't know how we got where we're at, they can't really move forward because they don't have any rudder. There's nothing to keep them even. So.
I'm going to say a name, and I want people to research this name, but it's Captain Ed Adair. I'm saying Adair, right? Correct?
Right.
Adair. Okay.
Yeah.
That's it's a character in The Emperor Wears No Clothes. I want you guys
Jack's
to
good
go.
Buddy.
Yeah, Jack Herrera, right? Or Hera?
Yeah,
Herrera. Sorry.
Terror, like terror.
Herrera. Okay. You definitely go read this book, you guys. I've read bits and pieces of it on my ebook stuff because I do a lot of ebooks, a lot of audiobooks.
Get it everywhere, and the nice thing about it, and here's why I encourage people to read it. It's not what you're going to get in that book. It's where that book is going to lead you, because it's got just enough information of every angle and aspect that once you realize that A, you've been lied to, but B, there's information out there, and here's how you find it, and here's what we do, and here's the updates. And, you know, that book's in its, I don't know, 17th printing or something. So
something like that, yeah.
You know, it's the shit. And just to understand what it's about, because, you know, they're going to write books about this industry one day, and the only thing they're going to mention Jack Herer in is the fact that he was a strain that they sold in their shops.
Right. That's not what he would have wanted.
Well, I'm not sure of that either, but yeah,
fair enough.
Jack was pretty anti-tax, and I don't know that Jack would have entered into any of these agreements with these state taxable entities. But they did create the strain while he was alive. And he was a fan of it, but I don't think he would have shown up at a dispensary. I don't know. It's hard to say, because at the same time, I would have liked to see him get his own vertically integrated setups, you know, where he was doing, where Jack Herer was being grown by Jack Herer place, not by Jack Herer, of course, but all under one brand. I don't know, but he would have hated to have to pay tax to the government. So.
I feel that, man. I feel that. Again, Adam, thank you so much for sitting down with me today and like kind of just helping to re-educate people, help to, you know, get rid of some of the stigmas and get rid of like, you know, just the bullshit in the industry nowadays. You know, it's when I'm wrong, make sure that I'm wrong and that I know right, you know, otherwise whose fault is it? You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, that's, you know, I hate to be that guy, but I've seen so much, and oh my gosh, I'm fascinated by what these people think and do.
It's insane what we're seeing lately, and it's just like that's not how that works, you know.
I'll tell you, the biggest problem I have with the industry is that it was created and the rules were written by people who don't use weed.
Yeah.
So the legislature, the people who we might have passed a law by ballot, but they then wrote the rules. They don't smoke weed.
No.
Really? Okay, ladies, write me a book. Ladies, are you listening? Write me a book on male masturbation. Ladies, please. Men, write me a book on female masturbation. Now, I'm going to take your word for what you have to say. You're out of your mind. What could you possibly know? So, how can someone who's not smoked weed, who's been anti-weed, who's had an invested interest in putting it down, how can they be a part of the rulemaking? Because what ended up happening is they proved they didn't know what they were doing, especially in Michigan. Michigan is a great story of failure. With the board, the MRA board that was turning people down because of moral issues. Now, mind you, they approved a lot of people that had some real bad moral issues that I wouldn't have approved. But at the same time, they turned people down for issues that were ridiculous.
Yep.
Because you know, they weren't being honest. Hold on. It's because they weren't being honest and they were being influenced by outsiders. So you had a guy who should have been given a license by all accounts, not given a license because he had a bankruptcy in his history. At which point, someone else was also given a license who had a bankruptcy in his history, but nobody would have ever said, but by all accounts was entitled to a license. Whereas the first guy, without saying too much, he was there. He would have been given one with everybody else in the initial batch. Everybody would have known, oh, of course, you know, that type of thing. He was turned down for a ridiculous reason. Boom. What happens? Someone else gets it. Just like that dispensary I told you. Had to put in that one camera. Boom. All of a sudden, nobody else has to. Well, that's because you have people who don't know what they're doing making the rules.
Correct.
Or no, they do know what they're doing, but they can't relate. This isn't, you know, I don't know, something else. I mean, anything else, people can have some relation.
It's interesting to see where it's going to go, man. You know, but it's like we were saying earlier. At least progress is progress, no matter the speed. You know, it's at least we're progressing somewhere, man. And you know, honestly, thank you. You know, I look at it this way. It's, you know, you've been fighting, you know, the good fight for a very long time. You know, it's to the point to where I find it an honor and a privilege to be able to learn from you, man, and kind of pass that on to people younger than my generation or people older, you know, just anyone that I can do. You know, it's that activism that I'm learning, man. And you know, the activism is kind of just spreading not only awareness, but education. And again, I can't thank you enough for the stuff that you've done. I appreciate you coming on the show, man. It's always, you know,
I appreciate you asking me, man.
Oh, dude, it's always a good time. I'm a fan of your dab and stab, man. Every day I tune into it. I always share it. You'll see it blasted all over the Facebook here and stuff like that.
I appreciate it. I feel like I'm being shadow banned on Facebook. They're giving me a hard time.
Well, we can fix that. We have a couple of ways around that.
All of a sudden they crash.
Yeah.
And,
well, I mean, there's a couple of ways around that, Bubba. We'll have a talk when we're not on live, but to all of my jokers and tokers and smokers out there, you've reached another end of the Daily Chronicles. I sat down. We had a sesh with the awesome Adam BROOK here. Dude, a lot of education coming at you. If you don't know, now you know. But I'll see you guys again on Thursday. Same time, same damn channel. And you know what? I'm not going to tell you who's coming on because I didn't get a confirmation. No, I'm kidding. You're going to love who's coming on. It's going to be an amazing show. I'll see you guys Thursday. But I'm Chef Rodney 117, Deliciously Dope's Daily Chronicles. I'll see you guys on the flip side. Peace.
Peace.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.